Hello, everybody. God bless you all. Hope everyone's doing well. I was reading a book the other day and I came across a portion about the Garden of Eden and the rivers that were in this book. And as I was reading it, I just had a premonition of the rivers in the Garden of Eden looking like the heart. And I know a lot of people have compared Jerusalem to that as well, and we'll get into that a little bit. But the rivers really kind of hit home, and that's where we're kind of going to go to today. And I'll show you what the Lord had put in my heart and showed me with this. So it's no surprise that Adam was supposed to keep and guard the Garden of Eden. We know the verses. We know dress and to keep, hedge and to protect, all of those things about the Garden of Eden. We kind of take for granted that what the Lord talks about here in His Word in 2:14, correction 2:15, that the Garden of Eden is there's no deeper meaning here really, and at least I have. I never really looked at okay, well, if you've watched my videos, I Strong's concordance everything, and it's one thing I never looked at, and I thought, well, no better time than now. So that's where I'm going to kind of start. So we know this dress and hedge, keep it, watchman, bondsman, servant, protection, all those things go along with this. And so we have garden, which is 1588. Now, what's funny is 1588, you have the 88 reference again, what we've talked about, but also in the Greek, the word for heart also ends in 88. So there was another clue, and I continued to look, and here we go. We know that looking at Strong's concordance is that this means to serve and protect, hedge, serve, husbandman, laborer, till, etc. So garden with that also means bride, and that's where things started to open up, and I started to question about what's going on. Eden actually means pleasure or delight. So if you put this together, into to dress and to keep his bride of pleasure and delight. So let's look into this a little bit. Okay. Strong's 1588, figuratively of a bride. Enclosed garden, which is protected, fenced, hedged, however you want to keep going with it. It also has a feminine type ring to it, feminine enclosure, feminine proper name of a location. So let's just take what a garden is. Okay, so a garden, you plant seeds, you water, you tend it, you keep it, and eventually, if the soil is good and the seed is good, it produces fruit, good fruit. So that is exactly what the bond between Adam and Eve was supposed to do, produce that good fruit. And of course, we know the story that the enemy infiltrated the garden, okay? And we know that the seed essentially polluted the woman, which is the church. We're going to get into that a little bit more in another video that I'm going to try to do tonight. It'll be a very short video, but you'll be able to see a little bit more how this all kind of connects. Okay, so so we have this garden, and one thing I've learned, especially with this video, is if you start to go through these concordance words that they all have, like, tell a story almost. And that's what I saw here. Yah has accomplished two Israelites. So I've talked about this before. I've said this before, that Adam and Eve were the first two Israelites. They were the beginning. They were the first two appointees of Israel. Okay, that's going to come in a little bit later when we talk about Jerusalem. All right. So here's Eden. to do with the free exchange of broadly diverse information, services, or goods. Okay, so when you think about that, the heart, okay, the definition of the heart is where all things flow from. Okay, all things spiritually, physically, and you'll see this in the definitions later. It's the flow of everything out of. Okay, and that's exactly what the garden is. So, these four rivers. This video has been very hard to do, by the way. As you can see, there has been a lot of information gone through. But the four rivers, I got into a little bit in a previous study that it just seemed too much. So that's something you'll have to kind of look at your own. We'll talk about them here in a little bit, but not to the detail that I originally had planned on, if that makes sense. Okay. So anyway, so we have this Eden, free exchange of broadly diverse information, services, or goods, which is where wealth comes from in the modern understanding of economy. So thinking about that statement, where's the mark of the beast going to target? It's going to target the economy. It's going to target all this, all these goods, services, your food, getting your car fixed. All these things are going to be targeted by the mark of the beast. Okay, so here we go. We have delight, finery, luxury, delightful, and luxurious. All right, so this is how God intended it to be. This was the original plan. Okay, of Eden to be this bride of delight. Okay, this bride of pleasure and delight was the original plan of everything. Okay, so bear with me. All right, so we have Eden, we have the garden, and we're going to look at some numbers here. The garden home of Adam and Eve, luxury or dainty delight, 2 Israelites, pleasure, we have 2 Israelites, and help, which goes back to our helpmeet. Okay? All of this corresponds with Garden of Eden and obviously Adam and Eve. All right. So Adam was charged to guard this way of life. Okay? Looking at the text above, we also see for Eden that it means an exchange of broadly diverse information of services or goods. With that in mind, we talked about it real quick. The mark of the beast will implement a control or set of control measures to counter God's original plan. He wants, so, and you've heard me say this before in other videos, right? That we are going back to paradise. We are going back. God is going to, what's the term I use constantly? It's reverse the curse. He's going to reverse the curse. However, the enemy wants to implement this before God can do that. Before you get in your mind what's going on, so that you get caught in this snare, caught in this net. And that's exactly what the enemy is trying to implement. Before that you can get back to that paradise or that way of life, this is what he wants to do. Because if he catches you in this, then there's no redemption process. Okay? You can also look up the name Cain. It reverts directly back to an attack on Eden and the garden. Okay? With all this in mind. Okay, so home is where the heart is. It's the garden. Okay? Here you have the four rivers. Just like scripture says, there was a one river that branches off into 4. The Gihon, the Pison, Euphrates, and the Tigris. If you look at the heart, then I had 2 heart. Well, we'll get to it here in just a second. So Adam was to hedge and protect the Garden of Eden, the bride or pleasure and delight. Okay, yes, his soulmate, Eve, was the personification of the Garden of Eden. She was the mother of all living. She produces the fruit. Okay, it takes the seed, and she produces the fruit. However, the enemy came in to instill his own fruit. Okay. All right, so protect, guard, or hedge your heart. Keep thy heart, Proverbs 4:23. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Just like we just talked about. Guard, protect, and hedge. Keep your heart with all diligence. For out of it flows, like a river, just as in Eden, the issues of life. Okay? Just like we just talked about up here. Services and goods, diverse information, broad, diverse information, services of good. It's the ways of life. Okay? Let's go through this one more time. Adam, the seed, all right, was to hedge and protect the Garden of Eden. The bride or pleasure and delight. Yes, his soulmate Eve was the personification of the Garden of Eden, the mother of all living. Just like the garden produces all that. She's the mother of all living. Okay? Proverbs 4:23. Keep their heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. And I believe the other version, ESV, uses flows. Yeah, right here. Keep your heart with all vigilance, and from it flows the springs of life. The rivers, same thing, right up here. There's 4 valves that go into the heart, or I'm sorry, 4 total main thoroughfares of blood. There's two veins and there's 2 arteries. All right, they're named down here in just a second. So in other words, protect and guard with obedience, okay, to God's word, your heart, your garden, your wife of pleasure and delight with all diligence, for out of her will flow the well springs of life. Children, family, continuations of community, congregation of life. Okay? So, keep your heart with all vigilance, from it flows the springs of life. In other words, guard, protect through obedience your heart, which is your garden, your wife of pleasure and delight with all diligence, for out of her will flow the well springs of life. And what is life? Children, progenies. Okay. And here it is confirmed, right, in Deuteronomy 5:28. They are right in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they have such a heart as this always to fear me and keep my commandments. Right? That might go well with them and their descendants forever. Not for our lifetime, not for time on earth, but in eternity. Okay? All right. For do not be envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them, for their heart studies destruction. Okay? And their lips talk mischief. Through wisdom is a house builded, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. Okay. So, through wisdom, a family is built and established. Through wisdom, a house is built. Indicates repair by obtaining children. Okay? And by understanding, it is established, set up, firm foundation. Okay? And by knowledge shall the chambers, okay, be filled. What does the heart have? It's got chambers, right? The innermost parts of the heart, the chambers, with all precious and pleasant riches. That's treasure. Okay? Goes all the way back to what we've been talking about in all these videos. Okay, let's look at the concordance. Let's see here. So precious and pleasant is what I wanted to pull up. Precious, brightness, clear, costly, excellent. Honorable women, precious, reputation. Clear, prized, costly, precious. Precious stones or jewels. So it is talking about treasure, an honorable woman. Delightful, sweet, lovely, agreeable. Okay, so let's keep going. So a good man, out of the good treasure of his heart, brings forth that which is good. An evil man, out of the evil treasure in his heart, brings forth that which is evil. For the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. Where have we heard good man? Man-child? Goodly man? Right? Seed out of the good treasure or woman produces the fruit, child, or reward. Brings forth by birthing that which is good, the man-child, goodly child. An evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth that which is evil. Same thing, produces fruit, child, reward. So this is the part in Jerusalem I was talking about. There's 3 valleys that form this letter, which we'll talk about here in a minute. That also represents the heart. Okay. I'm going to pull up something just to show you real quick. I just wanted to confirm real quick that there is 4 main vessels. Okay. Pulmonary artery, vena cava, and the aorta, and the pulmonary vein. So these are all 4 rivers. Okay. Even says over here, blood vessels leaving in and out of the heart. Here's 4 of them. Boom, 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 boom. So just wanted to clarify that. I know there's 3 here, but you'll see here in just a second. This forms a heart in half, actually. So let's continue. So again, Jerusalem, I believe it's the 21st letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the Sheen. So here we go. And to his son I will give one tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me, before in Jerusalem, the city which I have what? Chosen to put my name there. You can also see Deuteronomy 12:11 and 12:21. So he's going to put his name on Jerusalem. He's chosen to put his name there. Original Israel, Jerusalem. Or original Israel, Adam and Eve. This all connects. Okay. So this is the part I was talking about. This is the half of the heart with the chambers here. And the letter, pronounced Sheen, looks like this. So we said Adam and Eve were original Israel or Jerusalem. And let's look at this word. So here we have 2 main hills. 2 main hills. True pointing, at least the former. Jerusalem, teaching of peace. Teaching. What were Adam and Eve supposed to do? Teach. I'll show you here in just a second. And we've talked about it before, so you should know that. Okay, so there's Jerusalem. Here it is continued. This is this word here, 3384. And it says here, transitively to lay or throw, especially an arrow, to shoot, figuratively to point out, as if by aiming the finger, which is to teach. Archer, cast, direct, inform, instruct. Lay, show, shoot, teach, through. Rain, teacher, direct, cast. Okay, so you remember, if you go back to Genesis, what had God not caused it to do? Rain, right? They were supposed to be the teachers. In Joel 2:23, be glad, ye children of Zion, another name for Adam and Eve, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he has given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain and the latter rain, in the first of the month. This means the exact same thing as what we just saw with Jerusalem. Arrow, shoot, figuratively to point out, as if to teach with a finger, aiming the finger. Arch, cast, direct, inform, instruct, lay, show, teach. Rain, shooters. It's all there. It all connects, guys. They were supposed to teach. And what are the 144,000, right? We've talked about this. They are the ones with the light. All right. They are the chosen from the foundations of the world. Put my name there. That's a form of a seal. Okay. So this is the sun, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Okay, the sheen. Just another cutout. Some are different. I actually bought a book today of the Hebrew alphabet, and it was made in 1901, I think. But I wanted to make sure that this is correct. So what we did here, this is where it's going to get, you might want to put a seatbelt on. So this, I went and started looking at heart in the Greek. Cardia is what it is in the Greek. And as you begin to peel back the onion, so to speak, you get a much broader picture of what's happening. And I began to kind of peel back the onion. You got different ones you can click on. Like if you go up here, you can click on this. Trying to think of a good example here. Like these. All these different words that connect to the word you're looking at. All right. So I started doing that in the Greek with heart. And these are the main ones that came up. Of course, Cardia 25088, which we talked about. The other one was, we can scroll back up, but it was also 88, the garden. We have sin. It's actually pronounced differently than that. But anyway, then you have centribo. You have para, which, does anyone know what that is? That's fruit. And then you have meta. So the broad stroke of this, okay, cardia. So the heart and mind, the character, the inner self, the will or intention, the center. Okay, car means fruit. And you can go through here and you can look, and it goes back, desire, decisions, establish who we are, all these different things. And you also had part of the word was centribo. I break by crushing, breaking into pieces, shatter, crush, and bruise. So if you think of the soulmate thing that we're talking about here, it stopped with Adam and Eve. Okay? It stopped with Adam and Eve because of the entry of the enemy. Okay? And that's what got crushed. That's what's broken into pieces. The flip side of that, the enemy is also going to be crushed. His kingdom's going to be broken into pieces as the kingdom of God is being mended and brought back together through the Lord. Okay. Understand, this is before I go further, this isn't a New Age teaching. This isn't anything to do with that. I don't even look at New Age stuff. I haven't never even interested in it before. This is all straight from the Bible, how this works. Okay. And the centerpiece, just like you can't have the two without the one. Okay. And that one is Christ. So, just snuff that out before it starts. Okay, so here, again, with cardia, was also the sun. Okay, identify with joined close together in tight identification, closely identified together. Okay, and this funky word was meta, and it's accompanied with time. It's kind of a strange word, but what I did down here is show exactly, and we're going to read this here real quick, but all of these I broke down below to kind of form a picture, and that's what we're going to go over. Over here, this is cardia, okay, right here. I just actually pulled that out. I didn't include B and A because it's just basically about the fleshly heart. So what we've done, and I'm going to explain this here, what we've done with concordance words associated with the heart, we have placed above. To the left is the word G2588 for heart. My point to all this is to show you that soulmates exactly do exist. I know this for some is difficult to fathom. The video series should explain this very well up to this point. Again, take all things in prayer. The heart is the soul, and it's the fountain and the seat of all thoughts and passions. Like the garden produces fruit, so does it manifest from the heart. In the garden, you plant seeds, and those seeds produce plants that will produce fruit that is good for consumption. Hopefully. Companionship before the fall was broken, hence the broken heart and shattered into pieces. However, the kingdom of God will be restored only through him, not any other way, not through New Age or any type of strange doctrine. What's presented here is the gospel, not a trick or a strange message. Jesus Christ has to be the center of the focus. Then mysteries will be revealed. Okay? All words and phrases I've used here are from the Bible Hub website. All right, so let's begin. So you have cardia, which we talked about, the affected center of our being, desire, decisions that establish who we are. And I'm not going to pronounce every one of these words. It'll be distracting. So cardia, the heart. The knower of hearts, knower of the inner life and the inner workings of every person's heart. Fruit, karpos, all right, we talked about that. Deed or action that lives in union with Christ, the Lord living through us and producing kingdom work, essentially, or kingdom living. A husband and a wife produce children. A child is a type of fruit, the fruit of our labor. To break into pieces, to shatter, to suffer, extreme sorrow, the brokenhearted. To meet or fall in. This word falls in with son, which we'll get into here in a minute. Happy event. Christian woman at Philippi. This whole thing's about the Church of Philadelphia. Okay? Happy are the feet, right? Who bring the gospel of peace, right? To help together, to join in serving and helping. We talked about the helpmeet. Okay? To be in travail, together. This was very specific. To be in travail together. Suffered childbirth pains together. Okay. To swear an oath together. Okay. All right. Meta. To properly accompany with. Change thereafter. Companions thereafter. These are all pretty much the same, but essentially it is to be filled with the Messiah. To be changed, removed, and transformed. Son. This was a good one. So all these have the same prefix, right? Together with, tight identification, closely identified together. Companions. One mind, one accord, closely united in soul, spiritually and mutually supporting what God reveals through faith. Calling out together, harmonious agreement. Symphony, harmony, agreement. To call out and to be in harmony and agreement, like-minded. To produce together, to bring forth, grown at the same time. To lead together, to bring together, gather, collect, assemble. And this is where we get the word synagogue. To gather a church. Going back to that word symphony, right? This is where we get symphony from. And above all these things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect symphony. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful. Again, I'd say unto you that if two of you shall agree in symphony, that's what that word is, on earth as in touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. Just showing you it's the same word here. So it's my prayer above all that you will pray and look over this information. Seek the Lord diligently and pray. His word is true, and so are his promises to those that love him. Adam and Eve were a template for what was supposed to be. Sadly, the serpent infiltrated the union and perverted everything that the Lord had intended to be holy and sacred. However, he's got a plan in place, so this wasn't a failure. But true love will prevail. We're going back. Through Jesus Christ, the curse that has been on earth for so long will be reversed. And the unions that once were held, I'm sorry, and the unions we held once so dear will become to full fruition and true fruition. Families, friends, and yes, even soulmates will be reunited again. The enemy has no power over those in those reconciled unions, as perfect love will cast out all fear. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. God bless you guys.